The lights in my room exploded before I even understood what was happening. I was standing near my desk, holding a screwdriver, when the air itself tore open with a sound like metal screaming. A hole of white and purple light hung above my laundry basket, crackling, throwing sparks across my walls. My heart slammed against my chest. I did not have time to think about what I had built. I only had time to react. I grabbed the nearest object, an old metal rod I kept by my door, and backed against the wall. The hole grew wider, pulling in air, pulling in dust, pulling in the curtains from my window. Then something stepped through it. She was tall, taller than anyone I had ever seen, wearing armor that looked alive, black and glowing at the edges. In her hand, she held a long blade, sharp and steady, like she had carried it through 100 battles. Her eyes locked onto mine the second she crossed into my room, sharp and alert, scanning me, scanning the space, searching for danger. For a moment, neither of us moved. My hand was shaking around the rod. Her grip on the blade did not shake at all. "Where am I?" she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "My room," I said, my voice cracking. "You just came out of a hole in my room." She looked behind her at the shrinking light, already folding in on itself, sparks dying one by one. Her jaw tightened. She understood before I did that the hole was closing, and that she had just lost her way back. "That rift should not exist," she said, stepping closer to the wall where the device I had been building was still smoking. Wires hung loose. The small machine I made from spare parts was sparking weakly, its lights blinking red. "I was just trying to fix a signal problem," I said. "I don't even know how that happened." She studied the machine for a long second, her eyes narrowing, her mind clearly working through something dangerous. "This device pulled energy from a place it should never have touched," she said. "A war is happening on the other side of that tier. If this device turns on again, it may open the same path, and whatever is fighting near it may follow the pull straight into this room." The words landed heavy in my chest. A war, something following. My room suddenly felt smaller than it had ever felt before. "What kind of war?" I asked. "The kind that ends worlds," she said. "There is an enemy called the Hollow Tide. It does not fight for land or power. It consumes everything it touches, turning cities into dust in a matter of hours. My people have held it back for generations, but the lines are breaking. I was defending a position when the pull from your device dragged me sideways, out of my own battle, into yours." I swallowed hard. My hands were still shaking, but not from fear anymore. Something colder had replaced it, a kind of alertness I had never felt in my life. "So if that hole opens again," I said, "something might come through. Something bad." "Yes," she said, "and we may not have long." As if her words summoned it, the machine on my desk sparked violently, and a low hum began to grow, vibrating through the floor. The remains of the torn opening, now just a small crack of light near the ceiling, began pulsing again, faster and faster, like a heartbeat picking up speed. "It is reforming," she said, raising her blade instantly, her whole body shifting into position. "Stand behind me." I did not argue. I moved fast, pressing my back against the wall as the crack expanded, growing brighter, growing louder. The room shook. Books fell from my shelf. My lamp shattered on the floor. And then, with a final burst of light, the tier opened wide again, wider than before, revealing a swirling storm of black and silver on the other side. Something moved within it. A shape, tall and twisted, stepped halfway through the opening, its form shifting unnaturally, limbs bending in ways that made my stomach turn. It did not look like a person. It did not look like an animal. It looked like something built entirely to destroy. "Move back," she said sharply, stepping forward, blade raised. The creature lunged the moment it fully crossed into the room, faster than I thought possible, faster than anything should move. She met it head-on, her blade flashing through the air, blocking its advance, forcing it back toward the opening. The creature shrieked, a sound that hurt my ears, and swiped at her with a limb that ended in something sharp and jagged. She dodged, spun, and struck again, driving it back another step. I stood frozen, watching a battle unfold in the middle of my own bedroom, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it over the chaos. "The device," she shouted, not taking her eyes off the creature. Destroy it. If it stays active, more will come. I looked at the sparking machine on my desk, wires twisted together, lights flashing red and blue. My hands moved before my mind fully caught up. I grabbed the base of it, feeling the heat radiate from the metal, and yanked it free from the wall socket. Sparks flew across my fingers, but I held on, pulling the whole device off the desk and slamming it onto the floor. It did not stop. The lights kept blinking, faster now, the hum growing louder. It will not shut down that easily, she said, grunting as she blocked another strike. You must break the core, the centerpiece, the one glowing brightest. I dropped to my knees, searching through the tangled wires, until I found it, a small glowing crystal embedded in the middle of the machine, pulsing with the same purple light as the tier above us. I grabbed the rod I had used earlier and swung it down hard. The first hit cracked the crystal. The second hit shattered it completely. The moment the crystal broke, the hum stopped, the lights died, and the storm behind the creature flickered violently, losing its shape, shrinking rapidly. The creature let out one final shriek, thrashing wildly, sensing the pull behind it weakening. She used the moment, driving her blade forward in one clean motion, forcing the creature backward through the collapsing opening. It stumbled, twisted, and vanished into the shrinking light, just as the tier folded completely in on itself and disappeared, leaving nothing but a faint burn mark on my ceiling and silence in the room. For a long moment, neither of us said anything. My chest was heaving. My hands were shaking again, but this time from adrenaline, not fear. She stood still, blade lowered, breathing steady despite everything that had just happened. You did well, she said finally, glancing at me. Most beings freeze during their first encounter with the tide. You did not. I didn't really have a choice, I said, my voice still unsteady. There is always a choice, she said. You chose to fight instead of hide. That matters more than you think. I looked around my destroyed room, broken glass, scorched carpet, wires scattered everywhere, and let out a breath I did not know I had been holding. So what happens now? Is it gone for good? No, she said, sheathing her blade across her back. The tide does not give up a path once it finds one. It will try again, through a different pull, in a different place. But for now, this doorway is closed, and the danger with it. And you? Can you go back? She looked at the scorched mark where the tier had been, her expression unreadable for a moment. Not through here. Not tonight. Rifts of that size take time to stabilize again, and this one is far too damaged now to reopen safely. So you're stuck here, I said. For now, she said, which means I will need to understand this world quickly, and you will need to understand mine. I nodded slowly, still trying to process everything that had just happened in the span of a few terrifying minutes. My room was destroyed, my homemade device was gone, and standing in front of me was an alien warrior from another world, breathing the same air as me, waiting for whatever would come next. I'm Daniel, I said, finally finding my voice. Vaughn, she said, I am a defender of my people, bound to protect against threats like the one you just saw. If more rifts open near you, and they might, you will need to be ready. Fighting takes more than luck. It takes training. You're saying you'll train me? I am saying you already fought once without freezing, she said. That tells me you are capable of learning. Whether you succeed depends on how much you are willing to push yourself. I looked at the shattered crystal on my floor, at the burn marks stretching across my ceiling, at the woman standing in the middle of my wrecked bedroom like she belonged there. Somehow, despite everything, I felt a strange sense of purpose settling into my chest, something sharp and clear that had not been there before that night. All right, I said. Where do we start? She looked toward the window, toward the dark sky outside, her eyes sharp and focused once again. We start by making sure you survive the next one, she said. And as the first light of morning crept through my broken window, I understood that my life had changed completely, and there was no going back to the way things were before that portal opened in my room.